I have tried just about every way there is to kill weeds in your lawn, and the way I like to do it best might not be for everybody, but it works for me. Back in my single days, this would have never crossed my mind, but I suppose marriage changes everything, even if some things don't make sense, like this thing right here. Can you tell me why we have to have a breakable glass soap dispenser at every single sink in the house, especially with a 4 and 6 year old running around? Now, that's a question you'd have to ask my wife, and I'll warn you, you'll never get a better answer than because. And truthfully, if it makes her happy, I'm okay with it, but it still doesn't make any sense. The glass soap dispensers kind of got me thinking. They remind me of the high-dollar backpack sprayers for your lawn. They're nice, but are they really necessary? And I get it. I'm one of the weird ones when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm really not that hard to please, and I can make do with just about anything. So when I needed something to spray liquid applications on my lawn, I went out and bought a Landscaper Select 2-gallon pump sprayer for like 30 bucks. And even that was too much for me. It has just become a glorified dust collector on a shelf in my garage. So last season, I tried out a ready-to-use pre-mixed weed killer in a jug. Kind of like the soap that comes in the plastic bottle that you simply buy off the shelf and it's ready to rock. Well, when it comes to weed killer, here are some reasons why I think that's the way to go. Before we get into the reasons, let's clarify a few things. You've got 3 main types of weed killer. You can buy it in a concentrate, which means you have to mix it in some form of sprayer with water. You also have it in a hose-in sprayer that you connect to a hose. It mixes with the water from the hose as you spray it on your lawn. And finally, you have the pre-mixed ready-to-use, which is reason number 1 why I liked it most. No mixing. I hated the process, I hated the cleanup, and it made me not want to do it. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've already got this rebuttal in your head, but hear me out before you start typing your response. First, can we just laugh at the juxtaposition of soap and weed killer being discussed in one conversation? One is specifically designed to cleanse you and keep you healthy, while the other is, well, let's just say it's not so healthy for you. And with that in mind, I really try to limit my weed killer herbicide use. I really only spot treat for weeds. The last time I did a broadcast treatment on my lawn was 5 to 6 years ago. Heck, back in 2018, I bought a hose-in bottle and a bottle of concentrate, both of which are still on the shelf in the garage. I found out really fast that I don't really like liquid applications and don't have to use them very often at all. I mean, if you think about it, the cultural practices should always be your primary form of weed control. If you mow a lot, water properly, and fertilize regularly, I promise you your weeds will be kept at bay. It's like when I first moved into this house a couple seasons ago. Everyone told me that if I didn't get rid of the weeds in my new sod, that I would just have a bigger problem further on down the road. Well, I ignored that, and I just followed through with my cultural practices to a T, and guess what? Weeds have not been an issue for me over the last couple of seasons. Now, of course, you're probably going to have to get out and do quite a bit of hand picking yourself, which that's not going to hurt anything at all. And if you're still not convinced, try this next reason on for size. You can save the jug for concentrate when it's empty. Now, this takes us back to point number 1. Remember the no mixing part? I still stand by that. But for the price of a bottle of concentrate, you can mix it with water in your jug and save a lot of money compared to going out and buying a pre-mixed jug every time. For as little as I'm going to spot treat weeds, I'm not going to have to mix it up very often. So for the extra mileage you'll get out of that jug, I would say it'd be well worth it. It's a no-brainer in my opinion. For me, pre-mixed, ready-to-use weed killers are the way to go. For as rarely as I'm going to spray anything on my lawn, I don't need to spend a whole lot of money on a fancy, expensive backpack sprayer only for it to sit on a shelf in the garage and collect dust. Especially if you're on a good pre-emergent schedule in the first place to prevent weeds. You're not really going to have to worry about them much at all. Let's not confuse things. I'm a big believer in having the right tool for the job. Sometimes splurging a little bit can make things a lot easier and more efficient. But it's like this soap dispenser. Do I really need the nice glass one to get my hands clean? The answer is no. And the same thing goes for lawn care. You would be surprised at how much you can accomplish with so little. It doesn't take the biggest and the best stuff to have the nicest lawn on the block. That's going to do it for this edition of Budget Lawns. I appreciate you as always, and I hope to see you next time.